Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope that you're doing so very well. Today I'm doing my August wrap-up and my September TBR. In the month of August, I read a grand total of 3.5 books. It was not a great reading month for me, but that's mostly because I became obsessed with Parks and Rec and I watched almost the entire show last month. No regrets. I mean, at least I read a little, so there is that. The first book I read this month was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and I read this because it was the Booksplosion book of the month and it was phenomenal. This book was so magical. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I loved this book. It was a little bit hard to get into at first because it's hard to get used to a third-person voice that is in present tense, but once you get used to that and once you kind of get into the story and know the characters a little bit more, it's so magical and so wonderful. Oh my gosh, everything about this book is just great. It's so good. There's some love, there's some action. I would highly recommend this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's probably one of the best standalones I've ever read. Go read it. The second book I read this month was Isla and the Happily Ever After. I enjoyed Isla a lot. I read it while I was in Alabama in like a 2-day time span. I don't think it was my favorite of the three. I like Lola the best. I don't really know why. This one felt a little bit more unrealistic. That sounds weird because it's a contemporary romance and usually they are unrealistic. Let's be real. I don't know, just some of the things that happened I was like, alright, cool, I guess. And I wasn't as attached to the characters, except I did like Isla because she was a redhead and she's short. My life. Besides that, I didn't love the characters as much as I loved them in Lola and the Boy Next Door. I just really like Cricket. I think that's the reason I like that one the best. I just love Cricket. It still takes place in Paris a little bit, so that was fun. And I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was 1984 by George Orwell, and I read this with Raylene at Padfoot and Prongs of 7 and Dylan at Dylan Books. I was the late one to this party on this read along because I finished reading it I think like 2 weeks after we were supposed to have been done. This book is so interesting, but it's so hard to read. There was one chapter in particular that was very important to the story, but it kind of just like slowed the action to a halt and it just like really hindered me from reading the rest of the book. If you haven't read 1984, it's kind of like a dystopian, but it's a more realistic dystopian. The dystopians we're used to are kind of like, oh, let's end the entire world and this is the civilization that comes. But this is more of a dystopian, like this is what could have been in 1984. This is the kind of world that could have happened or still could happen. But I mean, it's a classic for a reason. It's extremely interesting, even though I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars, just because I can't give a book that was that hard for me to read a 4 or 5 out of 5 stars. It was the same thing with The Cuckoo's Calling. I love J.K. Rowling, and George Orwell is awesome and a genius, but if I'm having to force myself to get through the book, I have to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I just have to. All in all, it was a very interesting read. Not my favorite, but very interesting. And the 0.5 book that I read was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I started reading this for Read Moss, and I have yet to finish it. And it's September 1st. I think I'm gonna hold off on rereading Crown of Midnight and Air Fire since I have already read Air Fire. And there you have it, my books for last month. Now let's get into the TBR, because hopefully I'll actually make my TBR this month. First up, I've got Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I just talked about this, but I'm gonna finish it, so this will also have been read this month. The second book I'm going to read this month is Rumble by Ellen Hopkins. This is the Booksplosion book of the month for this month if you did not know, so you should buy it. Join in, hashtag ready to rumble. I've never read an Ellen Hopkins book. I know she's been around forever and I've seen them at the bookstore forever and ever and ever, and I've just never picked one up. So this is the perfect opportunity. I'm really excited about this. It sounds like it has an interesting premise and has a little bit to do with religion. So that might be a little interesting for me as I am a Christian, but I'm still interested to see how she portrays it anyway, because I like seeing other people's takes on Christianity. This first book, yeah. The second book I've got for this month is for another read-along, and that is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I'm reading this for the hashtag XOXO Gone Girl read-along that Max at Well Done Books and Liz at Liz Loves Literature are hosting. I've been wanting to read this. Perfect opportunity, and then I can go see the movie. It's gonna work out really well. All I know is that it's about a man and wife, and the wife goes missing and the man is suspected of murdering his wife. That's all I know about it, and that's all I want to know about it. I want to go in blind. Super excited. The next two books that I have were on my TBR for last month, but I'm putting them on this month, and it is A Matter of Magic by Patricia C. Reed and Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes. I kind of already talked about these books, so I don't want to talk a lot about them right now, but basically I've got these from the library and I have yet to read them. But I want to read Rumble and Gone Girl first, so we'll see if I even get to these before their due date is up. I already renewed them once and that's all I can renew them. We'll see. I know Fallen Kingdoms is a fantasy that a lot of people have been marathoning recently, and A Matter of Magic is about magic. The next book that I have is Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. I love Morgan Matson. I'm a fangirl now, and I really just want to read everything she's ever written. I want to read her Katie Finn stuff, all of it. I got this when I was in Alabama at Books A Million, and I have been wanting to pick it up since then, but I've had some other things that I need to read / wanted to read, but I believe that this will come this month. I want to read it before it's officially fall so I can read it in the summer, since it's a summer book. Second Chance Summer. I know it's about a girl that goes to a lake house, and it's kind of about second chances. Her dad has just been diagnosed with cancer, so she's dealing with that grief, and then an old crush comes in. I'm just really excited to read another Morgan Matson book, guys. I want to, like right now. Okay. The next book that I have is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I had started this book a couple months ago, and then it was right before Booktubeathon, so I put it back down so I could start Booktubeathon, and I haven't picked it up since then. I'm gonna pick it up and read it the whole way through this time. This is about two boys that are 15 in the 80s, and their names are Aristotle and Dante, and they meet because Aristotle can't swim and Dante can, and he offers to teach Aristotle to swim. That's all I know, and I know it's really good from multiple people, so excite. The very last book that I'm gonna read this month is The Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey, which I have the poster for right here. It's right here. The Infinite Sea. Haha, The Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey. That book comes out this month, and I have already pre-ordered it, and I am so excited. I read The Fifth Wave earlier this year, and I really liked it. So that's my TBR for September. Hopefully I will actually fill it this time. It's not as daunting as last month's, or it doesn't seem as daunting as last month's. So maybe I'll actually do that unless I get another addiction to another show, like Parks and Rec. We've only got season 6 left, gotta watch it before January, and then it's the last season. Cry if I've ever. I hope that you have a great week and a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye! The next book I read was 1984. Wow, I just hit myself in the face. Good.